Welcome back, you lovely weirdos. We are here for another round of MB2 Underground because who needs peace and quiet, right? I'm Sarah Kiefer.
What's happening, Miss Kiefer? I'm Joe Fox.
Hi.
You doing okay today?
Yeah, I think that we need to call today's episode or our podcast for the day MB2 Down Underground.
You had to do that, right?
I did. I've been thinking about it all day.
Pre-apologize to our guests for any Australian jokes, right?
I won't do the accent again, though. That wasn't fun for anybody.
So before we get into our incredible guest, and we really have a special guest, and this is going to be fun, we've got a big milestone in podcast, MB2 Underground podcast history.
Do we? Should I know about this?
Yes. We have an Uber fan.
Was it in the email?
We have an Uber fan.
What's an Uber fan?
Like a crazy fan.
Okay.
This
crazy
person,
fan.
Yeah, well, like very into the MB2 Underground podcast. This person knows when the podcast comes out before I do. They blow me up on texts, LinkedIn and such about how awesome the podcast is. So anyway, it's a big deal.
We have a fan.
Yeah, and I've actually, this fan
have our one fan.
Accosted me out in public as well. Seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is it?
My dad.
Oh,
he's listened to every single one.
That is
and he loves
sweet.
it. Yeah.
I don't think my parents listen.
Fan.
That's very sweet.
Well, anyway, so it's a big threshold. We've got one. So we're
shout out Joe's dad.
Yeah,
thanks
Pop.
for tuning in.
Dad Fox, love you, man. So we got a great guest.
I heard Dead Fox.
Dad Fox, yeah, it's our dad, D-A-D. We've got an incredible guest today. This person has flown 26 hours, taken a trip that literally took 26 hours to get here just to see the MB2 Underground podcast. But CEO of Impression Dental Group, an Australian-based DSO.
MB2 Underground is going international.
Going international, and is the first time we've had the CEO of another DSO on. This is going to be really cool.
That's dope.
So without further ado, Melbourne's favorite son, speaking of Uber fans, the Geelong Cats.
I have so many questions already.
Most proud fan.
Geelong.
Let's
go with Geelong.
Mr. Mark O'Brien. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming in. How's your jet lag?
It's fine.
He's like
Apologies
shaking.
for the bags.
Oh, you're looking
great.
I'm sure
Start slapping himself to keep himself awake.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I ask?
I hope my mum's listening as the Uber fan, but if she's not, I'll send it to her.
Yes, we'll send it to her.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of cool things to talk to you about.
Can I start?
Yeah.
What's a Geelong?
So anyone that knows me knows that I'm a big Australian rules football fan. So AFL, we call it.
Footy.
Footy.
Yeah, is Australian rules like Australia is better than American? Is that what like we rule, or is it like the rules of Australia?
I think we could say both.
Yes.
Yeah.
So footy started in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like this is not a new, and it's
your stuff.
It's American football without the pads.
Sick.
It's a little bit more chaotic.
Okay, I could get into sports.
This is like, these folks are incredible. Sorry. I didn't
And
mean-
you play, or you're just a fan?
Well, I did when I was much younger, but
Okay.
but not anymore.
Okay.
I'm a big fan. So I grew up in a town called Geelong, or Geelong, and we have a team called the Cats, so the Geelong Cats. And
Any specific type of cat, or just cats?
Just a cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
This isn't far from Tasmania, This is Tasmania has a team.
And
right?
Well, they don't, but they will in 2028.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
So
You heard it here first.
Do you know of Pro Kick Australia by any chance? Have you heard of this?
no.
Okay, so real quick, before we get into the good stuff. There is an academy in Melbourne that their sole purpose is to train footy players
I have.
for the NFL.
Yes.
For the American Football
I
League.
have heard of this.
And they have the best punter in the league right now, Seattle Seahawks. He went to the University of Texas. He's a footy
Graham?
player. It's a Michael Dixon.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's I think 17 current NFL punters or kickers that are footy players.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
you're
incredible.
right. There was a Geelong player,
Yeah.
Ben Graham, that was a punter. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
You do the most obscure research for these podcasts.
No. Just the cool things come up. I love it. It's so neat, right? Footy is a great sport for anybody who hasn't seen it. Google it, YouTube it, whatever. It's pretty awesome.
It's good fun.
So, man, sorry for that, but
It's okay.
appreciate it. So look, tell us about Impression Dental. A lot of cool things to talk about with the Australian market and your model, but tell us about Impression, the philosophy, the model, and such.
So I think the reason I'm here is because I was introduced to Jake Berry through a mutual connection at Group Dentistry now.
Awesome.
Kim and Bill. And luckily enough, we were the first international winner of the Emerging Groups to Watch.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So that's part of why I'm here. I would love to say I'm just here for MB2, but I'm also
You can say
going
it.
to Atlanta to pick up our award and be part of the conference that's happening there as well. But I've followed your group since day one, and I've been in the dental industry since 2021.
Wow.
And I love your model. We've got a similar model. We're a dental partner organisation, so our doctors have a shared equity position in the practices. I love your philosophies around people and leadership, and we're very much the same. It's about success through people. And whether that's creating a great culture of having pinball machines or giant Deadpools. We don't have them yet, but I'm getting all the ideas.
I think we have a hookup.
I love it.
But also, I love what you do with your learning and development. And again, we've done the same by setting up the IDG Academy. So we've grown from a network of 7 sites 3 years ago to just over 20.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So we've quadrupled our revenues over the journey.
Wow.
And that's just been through, crafting a network that's high quality, bringing in great people, and me surrounding myself with an amazing team that can execute as well. So the dental industry, whilst it's global, there's so many similarities. And just talking to you guys and talking to your executive team, the challenges that we have are the same as you do, just on a different scale.
Did we hear that? I feel like I'm having a flashback that even like tooth numbers are different in different countries. Didn't we hear about that somewhere?
I don't know.
We'd have to ask a dentist.
I feel like
that's right. I'm not a dentist.
Zero
so
dentists in the room right now.
I feel like somebody was talking about that recently. She is an owner of a lab, like a global lab, and she was talking about how she gets a lot of people from China, and even like the dental or the tooth numbers over there are different.
Interesting. We'll have to
Hadn't
check that
heard.
out. We'll run that down.
Yeah.
So, Mark, tell us, the genesis of Impression was kind of in a distressed situation, right?
It
the
was.
company was in like receivership or bankruptcy of some form or fashion?
Yeah. So we, and when I say we, we've got a private equity sponsor called Genesis Capital. The business that I was in prior had fallen into administration. I was working with Genesis in a consulting basis to help them establish whether or not it was a great business to invest in. And it turned out it was. We were able to kind of rescue the really good sites and the good practices, and use that then as a really solid foundation to then bolt on and grow the rest of our business. Wow. So that was really challenging.
Where do you
that
start
period.
with something like that?
It's a good question, and number one is just engagement. So if you can imagine a business that's fallen into distress, there's no investment, there's very little engagement, there's very little. Things like the fruit bowls in the staff rooms get taken out, and they're very visible and very little things, but they mean a lot. People don't get birthday cakes, so it was really just reinvigorating that, investing back into the network, buying equipment, replacing old equipment. And then doing some organic growth opportunities like marketing and learning and development. So it took a good 12 months because we had a couple of COVID interruptions post administration.
A couple.
That
I mean,
timing.
Melbourne maybe had the most
lockdown city in the world.
in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were locked down for months. And you couldn't go outside of 5 kilometres or a 2.5 mile radius of your house.
How did they police that?
Oh, it was intense.
Fear. Really?
It's a police state.
Yeah, but you're talking about Geelong. I live in Melbourne, and the drive between Melbourne and Geelong is an hour and a half, and there's one big freeway that takes you there. And I remember visiting our practice in Geelong, and you had to get a special permit. There was the military had blocked off the road. You had, it was intense.
Quite a bit different experience than us here in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know where I was going with that, but it was a good story.
The genesis of the company kind of being in distress and how you turned around. What was it like for you to interface with the suppliers in the CEO role of hey, look, guys, I know we've had some trouble, but we're not going to have trouble going forward.
Well, that's the other piece. And obviously, it's building that trust. So it wasn't just the trust of our teams. It wasn't the trust of our dentists. That over the times they hadn't been paid, for example.
Jeez.
And again, it wasn't under my watch, so
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
be really
yeah,
clear
exactly.
about that. But, you know, it was building that trust really quickly, and the suppliers were key to that as well, because, you know, a lot of suppliers lost money in the administration. So what I had to do as the CEO was stand up and say, well, you know, we weren't, you know, part of the sins of the past, but here is our vision.
Yeah.
If it means that we have to have different trading terms for the first 6 to 12 months to prove
wow.
our worthiness, we'll do that.
Yep.
So, you know, I'd say for 3 to 6 months it was an issue, and then it disappeared very quickly.
Wow.
I think, you know, we became the best payers to our partners, and, you know, just delivered what we said we would.
Yeah,
That's got to be super fulfilling, being able to do something like that. Is that something that you feel like, I guess enjoy isn't the right word, but you like to focus on, is being able to see that like transition from distress to success?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's the name of this episode.
Down
He's
under.
got it.
Yes.
We'll talk to producer Brittany about that one.
I don't think we stop and think about it enough. And that's something that I've taken on reflection. And you tend to look at it when you're putting together an investor deck or you know, an annual review or something.
You have a reason to get a bird's eye.
That's right. And you look at the hockey stick effect that's coming through. But I am immensely proud of the business that we've created, and I feel like we've only just started. Like we're only 3 years young. But we've got lots of good proof points that we're doing things right. We've got great practices, great vendors, great teams. We've won lots of awards, and, you know, it's not about winning awards, but it's about,
Like, but it's pretty cool though too. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
You said you started in 2021. So has that been your experience in dental those few years, or what were you doing before you got into where you're at now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I often, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but when you first meet a dentist, they ask you, are you a dentist?
Pretty similar.
And I learned very quickly to say, no, but my father-in-law was a dentist, which
There
is
you
true.
go.
Street cred.
And secondly, my very first job was with Colgate-Palmolive. But I don't tell them that it was the animal health part of Colgate-Palmolive. So
Animal health part.
Yeah, so there's a dog food brand that Colgate owns called Hill's Pet Nutrition.
Cool.
It's huge. It's a global brand.
That's awesome.
So that was, you know, that's probably my very first job. But I think the bulk of my career has been in business aggregations. So immediately prior to dentistry, I was working in a private equity-backed childcare organisation with 450 sites.
Is that like daycares?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
so
cool.
short care. It's called before and after school care. So working parents need to drop their kids off at school.
That's a lot of industries you've been in.
Well, there's
Children, pets, teeth. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So pets. Pets was a big part of my career. So we aggregated a pet retail brand called Pet Barn, which was 10 retail stores when I started, 100 when I left. It's now 300.
Wow.
And had a friendly relationship with Petco. In fact, Petco's PE sponsors were also sponsors of Pet Barn. So I spent a lot of time in San Diego and La Jolla, you know, learning from, you know, what they did really well.
Yeah.
Which I think is why I've brought that into dentistry, because you know, you guys do some great things. So, you know, I want to extract as much as I can from MB2. I've also worked in big pharma, so I worked for Pfizer for a chunk of time. I had my own allied healthcare business for a short period of time, and, you know, life circumstances disrupted that, and that was in the physiotherapy space. So yeah, it's been a bit of an eclectic mix, but the common thread is people, and, you know, we're getting the best out of a business through developing people, developing processes,
That's awesome.
and being able to scale.
Which industry would you never go back to again?
I don't talk about it a lot, but I had a 5-week stint in aged care.
You said 5 weeks.
5 weeks, so it's not on my resume. But aged care is a really tricky industry. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, it was becoming highly corporatized.
Yeah.
And you were getting, you know, grocery buyers coming, you know, grocery chains coming into aged care. And the business that I was in was selling nutritional products to the elderly, and they really just wanted to cut the guts out of their products. We were selling the market leading product, and we were, you know, faced with, you know, genericized products and I just thought, this is just not an industry that I love.
Yeah.
And it made me think, you know, aged care can be done differently. So
Absolutely.
maybe that's where I'll end up next.
Maybe.
But it's funny when you look at the CEOs of dental groups in Australia, they've either done or done them all: veterinary, childcare, and dentistry. So I think that the three biggest brands have all got that common thread.
Yeah.
So Impression had a big inflection point in 2023 with the merger with Dr. Ho's.
2022.
Okay.
So, I think technically it was 2021. It was 2 days before Christmas. Wow. But yes, you're right. That was kind of the establishment of Impression Dental Group. Before that, our network was called Totally Smiles. And at that point was when we kind of exploded with a new brand, a new value proposition. And that merger was amazing. You know, Associate Professor Chris Ho is a major shareholder, Chief Dental Officer. He's internationally renowned.
Wow.
He's done amazing things for our business. So it's great to be able to say that we're truly dental led again, as you guys are.
Absolutely.
And that just accelerated our M&A program.
Yeah. How did you strategize the rebrand, the updated philosophy, all of that kind of stuff? Because it sounds like it was a pretty quick timeline to be able to launch something so clearly defined.
Well, I think our values were always the same from day one. So we established a set of core values which we lived and breathed every day. In terms of the philosophy, again, we had a vision of what the philosophy looked like. So it wasn't like we had to create that on the fly. It was something that we'd been living for the last, for 18 months.
Yeah.
In terms of the genesis of the name, Impression Dental Group, it's a little bit of a play on words, and again, similar to MB2, which I've learned recently what it means, being non-clinical.
It's very niche.
But impression, maybe old school, taking impressions of teeth. But it was also about, having the best impression for our customers, our dentists, our doctors, our employees. And then if you look at our logo, it's like an upside down triangle. And we always say, and this is part of our DNA, that the bottom of the triangle is us as a support office, and the other kind of corners of the triangle are the patients and our doctors. And even one of the colours in the logo is the original brand, Totally Smiles. Wow. So we've tried to keep some legacy in there. I've got a really clever CMO that has been able to come up with these things. But it was important that we had a brand story that we could talk to.
It's very intentional. I love it.
And it was intentional. Yeah. That's right.
So tell us about the Australian market. It's a little bit different than the U.S.
Yeah.
And kind of some of the dynamics that kind of help navigate, being the CEO of a DSO.
Yeah. So, I mean, dentistry is dentistry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it is in the world.
Right.
We're very lucky that, in the US, Australia, UK, Europe, clinical standards are really high.
Yeah.
And even products are very similar across different markets as well. But what is different is the amount of consolidation. So Australia is a relatively immature market in terms of consolidation. We've got about 8% of the market that's corporatized.
Yeah.
And again, we don't say we're a corporate. It's a bit of a dirty word in our business, as is
Still
head
is here.
office.
Yeah, it's like things aren't that much different.
Yeah. So that means that there's a big opportunity for consolidating the industry, and there's a demand for consolidation as well. I think the nature of dentistry is changing, where people want more flexibility. There's more women coming into the workforce that
represent.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. And that creates an opportunity for flexibility. And people, I think, in a post-COVID world, just want balance as well. Yeah. So many of our dentists don't work 5 days a week, and that's great because we want them to work the hours that they want to work, that they're most comfortable for long-term sustainability. What else is different? We're primarily a private market, so about 75% of our fees are private.
So kind of flipped from the typical US.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And in terms of government funding, it's pretty low.
No Medicaid, no Medicaid.
No Medicaid. So we've got Medicare, which funds children's dentistry, veterans dentistry, but it's a tiny part of the market.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But as I learn about global markets and visit conferences and visit groups like this, like I said before, the challenges are very much the same.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of solving these problems, together. It's not like we're competing, but recruitment, engagement, best practice marketing, being operational ninjas. What does that look like? And it's very, very similar across the markets.
So what are y'all looking for in a partner?
I think number one, there's 2 things that I say to my team when we're looking for partners. Obviously, there's a commercial reality, so it needs to hit certain commercial milestones. But there's been plenty of businesses that we've walked away from that look great on paper, but we meet those dentists, and there's probably just not the right fit.
Yeah.
So we very quickly get in front of our dentists, our potential vendors, get to know them, have dinners, coffees. And that cultural fit is really important. I say to them, it's like, we're about to get married.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
This is a long-term relationship.
Where have I heard that?
That is our chief of staff, Susan Huff. Literally, that's how
Really?
she describes the MB2 partnership. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to sign an LOI. That's an engagement. And then post-partnership, hey, we're married. So this is how we view this. But yeah, it's fantastic. How cool.
And we talk about, that it will be great. It'll be a great journey. It'll be a great partnership. There'll be times where it's tricky, but we navigate through it. So that cultural fit is probably number one from my perspective.
Well, and you've grown pretty quickly. You said tripled your revenue. Obviously in practice locations. How have you guys streamlined the acquisition process?
I think it's still a work in progress. And I'm very lucky that I've got an amazing team that has come from a background in aggregations and M&A. They're nimble, they work hard, and we don't have a big fat support office. We're a small team, so we'll leverage technology, leverage each other. We're in the office, and we've just been able to navigate it. But I do see that as a challenge as we continue to scale, as bringing in the right people that have got the same philosophies as us, the same skill set, the same capability, and that kind of sense of urgency and the sense of just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
How do you guys go about finding partners? Like, what's the best mechanism for that?
Again, we've learnt over the journey, what the right messaging looks like. So again, from a business development perspective, we go out to market with print. We do lots of social media. We do lots of events. So most recently, Chris Ho and I, we went to one of the markets and invited 20 practices in that area. Took them out for dinner, gave them an education event, then talked about us. And out of that, we got a number of term sheets. So that's worked really well. But just establishing a brand and developing content. Again, no one in the market's really owning the content space, and I think we're punching above our weight in terms of that. So sometimes you need to act a little bit bigger than you are.
Right. That's so you don't get beat up on the playground.
Correct.
That's what I did.
Tell me about the swear
You
jar.
got beat up? Or?
No comment. Wait, did you say swear jar?
Swear jar. You all have a swear jar. Tell me about that.
It's an unofficial swear jar, but I'm thinking of making it official. If anyone calls it head office, our support office head office, that is a
Oh, so it's not
swear
like
word.
real swear words. I was like, because I would be in
I'd be
trouble.
broke.
Yeah, and we both.
Yeah.
We should just keep one in here.
We should.
So head office is one of those, and corporate. So
C word, yeah.
yeah.
What are the words you prefer? What are the antithesis of the swear words?
So we call ourselves a network rather than a corporate. Okay. It's a bit of a play on words because we've got corporate disciplines, but we don't want to be seen as
exactly.
One of those,
overlords.
One of those players. Correct.
You're a partner. You're a partner.
We're partners. Exactly. It's not. We are not dictating what you must do. In fact, we're the opposite. We're there as a partner to walk side by side to get the best out of the business.
Wow.
What do you see yourself, whether that's right now or in the near future, kind of being your next focus for the organization? Because I know you talked a little bit about technology and acquisition streamlining, some of that kind of stuff. What do you feel like is going to be like the next iteration or the next focus for you guys?
So M&A growth is number one, is our number one pillar. So rolling out, quickly but responsibly as well. We're not one of those organisations that just wants a bunch of dots on a map. I'd rather have less locations that are high quality. And I think that's what's happened in and I'll say it, but corporate dentistry in Australia over the years is that aggregators have just wanted, I want 100 sites and I want to get to it as quick as possible. And have missed those kind of cultural steps and the discipline around, paying appropriately. So M&A growth will be a step change for us again. But I think, like I said before, streamlining the integration process, again, we're pretty good at it already, but you can always be better. And then leveraging technology as much as possible. So I've just come from Geneva, a week and a half ago, where I was at
Dude, chill. I think you need
No,
like
this is
just
it. I'm not collecting
A month.
frequent flyer
But
points.
At home.
Australians are world travelers. It's just kind of part of
Part of
your
our
DNA.
DNA. Yeah,
it's
you're
pretty
right.
special.
But that conference was all around digital transformation in dentistry, and not just putting scanners in each of your practices,
Right.
but what are you looking at from a back office end in terms of data, big data? And again, this is not unique. Big data's been around for decades, but how is it being utilised in dentistry to make decisions about your patients, your practitioners?
so cool.
And then, even things that are really boring but really important, like cybersecurity. What is the best practice there? And again, we've got an incredible head of IT that, knows so much more about, IT and security than I do. But and I just know that we're in very good hands with her. So, there's a really long way of answering, M&A, step change in M&A, and also just, like I said, becoming operational ninjas across every part of the business.
Honestly, you could answer every question really long. This accent is just so fun.
awesome.
This is our first
gonna be-
international guest, right?
I'm looking forward to
Incredible.
being up on the board.
Oh, we'll get you there. We'll get
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
What are ballpark multiples in Australia for solo practices?
It's around 4 to 6 is normal.
Interesting. Okay. Has that changed over the last few years?
There was a period, maybe 18 months ago, where there was a couple of platform groups that were looking to exit.
Yeah.
So that meant that the multiples had ballooned for a period of time.
Interesting.
It meant that we don't want to compete at those levels. We're very disciplined about the deployment of our capital and making sure that we're not buying for the sake of buying.
Yep.
We're buying practices that are culturally aligned with us and practices that we can continue to grow.
Yeah.
So practices that are really high margin are less attractive to us.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's hard to make it go.
Absolutely.
Go anywhere from there. But yeah, four to six is typical for a single site, and that's there's lots of variables around that,
absolutely,
geography,
100%.
key person risk,
And such, yes.
yeah, quality of
EBITDAs.
yeah. I missed that, but I'll just smile and know.
Well, tell me about your philosophy on integration. Is that a process that you all start before the partnership consummates, or is it something that you
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we, as part of our, I don't want to give away too much of our process.
please don't.
Industry
Yeah.
secrets.
Yeah, we can cut this.
I
bit out,
asked you if
but
there were any no questions. And you said
did.
no.
But I went to a different place.
As did I.
Oh, dang it, I didn't.
But from pre-diligence, and like I said, the unofficial integration starts with the coffee conversations the first time we meet with a vendor. Very quickly, the two pressure points that people come to us for is marketing. Marketing's changed. I don't get it. I don't know how to get new patients. I spend a lot of money with an agency, and it's a bit of a dark art. So how can you help us understand that?
Dark art makes me think of Snape. Sorry, go ahead. Harry Potter.
So the first thing we'll do is a bit of a marketing audit. So we'll look at the marketing funnel. We'll look at the practice's website, and just give them a one pager. And if we then progress to a transaction, amazing. If not, we've at least added value to that practice.
like
So that's step one. And then we'll run some numbers. So typical, P&L analysis, balance sheet, if we need to, employee agreements, all those standard kind of things. And then we very quickly get to a point where I think you guys offer a letter of offer. We do an NBIO, non-binding indicative offer. That's a term sheet that's signed, and then we progress to confirmatory diligence.
Yeah.
And that process can take anywhere from 8 weeks to 3 months to 6 months in some
Right.
some cases.
Just as long as it takes.
Yeah, and it depends on the complexity of the business, the ability for the vendors to get data quickly.
Yeah.
So we've streamlined as much as possible, but without the data, it's very difficult. But we've got a great team that works really solidly on the pre-diligence phase. That goes to our investment committee, and then it obviously moves forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic.
So we talked about you being a CEO. We talked about you being a world traveler, about your industry expansive knowledge. We talked about you being a Cats fan. And you also have a pretty busy life with your family as well.
I have 4 children.
How old?
My oldest will be 14 in 3 days. So I'm missing
wow.
his birthday, but it means he gets a bigger birthday present apparently.
Yeah, obviously.
He's like the Cats #2 fan. So
Really?
yeah, he's great in terms of being able to go to the footy with somebody. And then I have a 10-year-old footy, and then a 4-year-old. So I've got a COVID baby and a 15-month-old.
Wow.
So yeah.
Your wife must be a saint to let you hang out in Geneva.
Well, my older boys live with us half the time, so I call them my one FTE child.
I love it.
But when there's 4 kids in the house, it's chaos, but it's great. It's good fun.
Chaos
And I think a lot of your team obviously have got multiple children, and it's lots of weekends of going to sport and
I was going to ask
birthday
outside
parties.
of like Cat's fanship, what you guys do, like what y'all's hobbies are and how y'all spend time together.
Yeah, we do a lot of sport. We shop. Grocery shopping, is that a hobby?
Yeah, right. With 4 kids, it has to be. It's
a lot of Vegemite. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Is this where we bring it in?
Well, I've been waiting for another chance to ask what it was because yeast extract did not do it for me.
I think you just have to experience it.
Yeah, we don't have anything like it. We really
Okay.
don't.
Fair.
Yeah.
We'll get you some.
But what else do we do? I don't know. Life is just busy.
Yeah.
You just-
Sounds like it.
Just make it happen. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to make sure we dove into today?
I don't think so. I think it's been great to pull this together. Like, I think I got the email 12 hours ago on a plane.
We really appreciate it.
Do I need to prepare?
We didn't, so it's
Crushed it.
okay. No, I'm just
Crushed
kidding.
Amazing. But
Yeah.
no, I knew the style of these conversations were quite light, and it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed getting to meet you guys. I can see why it's so successful. You've got a great culture, and hopefully you've been able to learn a little bit about the Aussie
Absolutely.
market, and we look forward to a good friendship for a long time.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate being here, man. Appreciate you sharing. Awesome. We'll do it again. Listeners, thank you for joining us for another great episode of the MB2 Underground podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Go Cats.